Any update on Robbie Gould?
He'll be available for tomorrow. He'll practice here on the non-game group here in about an hour, so he's good to go.
As far as goaltending, I know you have a few games left, but where do you kind of feel like you're at from the weekend?
It's been good. We had a vision of improving our goaltending depth, and our guys in that 2, 3, 4 hole, if you will, have played very well. And then Billy will get the first half tonight, and Hutch will get the second half. And again, you want to be careful how you judge it. We've had 3 home games, and obviously teams that travel usually, and this has been no different, do not send a very deep team as far as NHL roster. So they've played well, but they've all been put in pretty good situations so far.
Has Hutchinson shown you what you need to see?
Yeah, he's been good. Yeah, he stops pucks. Obviously, he wasn't with us coming into camp when we're putting together our plan, and now he's into his second action again tonight, which is good. Another opportunity on the road against obviously a little deeper Chicago lineup than what we saw the other night.
You talked the other day about just the importance of the goaltending depth, not just the organization. I mean, is that just becoming increasingly important? You see so many teams going for so many goalies.
Yeah, obviously, in my eyes, there's probably only those 4 or 5 goalies that you can do really. You're going to give them 65 games, a Hellebuck, a Vasilevsky, and you may probably will have the best goal in the ice that night. But I think it's just a reality of depth, how competitive every point is. You just got to be. You got to give yourself a chance every night, and especially in net. So I just think it's depth, and I think everyone's going through it. I mean, obviously, I just think it's a reality. We're no different. We probably had to learn the hard way last year with our depth.
How valuable can a fresh start be for someone like that who's been under such a microscope in that market?
Good. You don't want to put any undue pressure on him. You want to have him play within himself, what he is. We want him just to defend properly, be a part of our penalty kill, make simple plays. So yeah, obviously a fresh start. He seems very excited like most of our new guys.
With Hutchinson, obviously, it's curious, just in kind of, this may be more of a Steve question, but in general, when you have contracts make jobs so often now, what kind of challenge do PT the other guys really face? Because it seems 10, 15 years ago there was...
Great question. I think it's probably individual to individual, and like you said, probably what you're referencing to a few years ago. I mean, even we would talk PTOs from the previous organization I was in, management was there, were like, literally, there's been 2 PTOs signed a contract in the last certain amount of years. It just doesn't happen that often. I just think it's a different landscape now with the flat cap and where the salary cap is. I just think there's a lot more purpose with those PTOs, with teams going into camp.
You brought up this question because you had the roster room.
Yeah.
You may be looking at the same situation going into this season. I mean, is that kind of a good situation to be in?
Of course.
Because
obviously
you don't want to
we're
lose.
cap and we'll put ourselves in a good situation for the small term and the big term also. So yeah, I mean, that's something we'll continue to evaluate through our last 4 games.
It looked like
Sherratt will not play tonight. Yes, actually Sherratt will play tonight. I get 2 teams. It's literally just practice 1 team and have my mind wrapped around the other teams before I came in here. So yes, came back. We got 3 skates for them, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and obviously reps tonight will be important for them.
Do you have an idea where you want him, like who you would like him to play with?
No.
Okay.
Which I think a luxury. We have 7 D. I think we're very comfortable with that have all shown pretty well so far in camp.
You talked a lot last year about Jake being able to do his skating. I'm curious, as you kind of assess guys' skating abilities in putting pairs together, how much do you kind of look at that sliding scale and figure things out?
Yeah, I think it's all part of it. There's so much that goes into it. It's not the end be all. Those 2 probably had a little bit of chemistry. Even Mo started with Benn last year, and both those guys can skate extremely well. So sometimes it's just a feel, some chemistry. Those guys have a bit of a knack for each other. You can see they work on the ice, the way they communicate on the ice, even the way they talk back on the bench. So yeah, I think it's still going to be a work in progress, just like our forward group. You've seen a lot of different D pairs. We're not married to anything. The one consistent through camp has been Ball and Wally.
And such a plus minus, which I know, take it with a grain of salt, but is the appeal, I mean, he plays such a heavy game, and
Yeah.
I remember that in Minnesota, he was the one who's kind
Yeah, of course. He put a lot of value in this. I know, beating the Ben Sherrod drone, he's extremely valuable to us. Even last year, I was fielding some questions on, some of his underlying numbers, a plus minus. And I think he's very valuable to us in a lot of ways. I think that's why one of the reasons people are getting away from a little bit of that black and white plus minus. I still think there's some value to it. I get it, but at the same time, there's a reason that black and white plus minus is kind of getting faded out of the league. So yes, I think he was he was culpable for some of it, but a lot of it I think was a little circumstantial where we were at too.
Where is in your mind? Where is kind of when it comes to using plus minus? What should we and shouldn't we use it? When you kind of look at things.
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. I don't reference it on a black white, but there's so many underlying numbers. I just think how fluid the game is too. Like when you ask, that's almost a black white question on the analytics.
Yeah.
I don't think analytics will ever be there in our sports. So yeah, I don't know if I have a defined answer. It's part of it. Like you could come up with hundreds of underlying numbers and what's valued and what's not. I think they're all valuable. It's just how you weed through it.
When it comes to eventually integrating the two game groups and consolidating down to one, is it as simple as sort of stacking and pulling what's generally been two NHL lines from each on top of one another, or are there more sort of nuances to
No, that's kind of the way it's played out here. That's probably obviously why you're asking the question. We've kind of, throughout just the way this schedule came out with the game matrix, made it a little bit difficult in what we're trying to do with the 3-3 and playing 4 and 5 to finish camp. So we've kind of staggered that 2 and 2. There's a little special teams in there. There's a lot that goes into the matrix. So just literally as a staff and a group, we're talking almost till 8 p.m. last night. Just so many things. We want to give this guy a look. We want to give that guy a look. We want to give this guy a look. Then you have the Grand Rapids guys. You want to see this, want to see that. There's so much goes into it, but one of it has been kind of just getting for practice purposes, for game purposes, kind of having 2+ or 1.5 NHL lines kind of stagger throughout the camp.
The coaching staff, you're going to split the team, but you guys are hopping on a flight 3 days in a row.
Yeah, no, this is, it's not that bad. It remains either practice, but now it's just 3 routines of practice game. Not ideal being on the road and that, literally get back at probably be my bed 2:33ish tonight and turn around, obviously 9 a.m. in the morning. That's all part of it. We'll be smart about how we use our guys too in this 3-3. 3-3 is not a problem running 2 teams. 10 years from now, it might be different for me, but this is no problem at all.
Coffee drinker?
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Black tea.
And I'm sure Lisa McDowell extends her nutrition.
Yeah,
advice
for
to
sure.
you.
That's the reality. You talk about the players, it's the reality of coaches too, for sure.
Will Saturday be kind of like the first game where you actually look at the opponent? Like,
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I wasn't overly concerned with these 3-3, because we might be able to get that camp split, if you will, maybe come Friday or even into Saturday. Maybe if we still have some question marks, we might see that through Saturday night, but might be able to get a look at, what that roster may start to shape on Saturday. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.